All right, so let's talk about squaring binomials, okay? So let's say you have to work out x minus 3 squared. So one way to do this is to write x minus 3 times x minus 3, and then we just FOIL, which means we just multiply everything, right? So if you take the x times the x and the negative 3, you would get x squared minus 3x. If you take the negative 3 times x times negative 3, you would get negative 3x plus 9. And then if we combine all the like terms, we end up with x squared minus 6x plus 9. Right? But it turns out, whenever you're squaring a binomial, there is a special pattern, right, that we can use to square these kind of mentally in our heads. Okay, so let's take a look at the pattern. All right, so the special pattern for squaring binomials, okay? So let's say we have a plus b squared. Now, a and b can be variables, they can be numbers, it could be anything, right? Just two different terms. And if it's being squared, so here's the special pattern for squaring binomials. To get the first term of your answer, right, what you're going to do is you're going to take whatever a is, right? Whatever a is, you're going to square it. So then that gives you a squared. To get the middle part, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply a and b. So you're going to multiply whatever a and b is, right? So if I take a times b, I get positive ab, right? Because a positive times a positive is a positive. And then you're going to multiply this by 2. Okay, so to get the middle part of our answer, multiply a times b times 2. And then to get the last part of your answer, all you're doing is you're taking b and you're squaring it. Okay, so this is the special pattern for squaring binomials. Okay, so I'm going to write out how I get my answers so you guys can see. But once you get the hang of it, hopefully you can do these kind of just mentally in your heads. Okay, so let's take a look at an example. So let's say, for example, 2x minus 5 squared. So to get the first part of my answer, what I'm going to do is I would be thinking in my head, what's 2x squared? That gives me 4x squared. To get the middle part of my answer, I'm going to multiply these two. So what's 2x times negative 5? All right, so what's 2x times negative 5? That's negative 10x. And then I'm going to multiply this by 2. So that gives me negative 20x. To get the last part of my answer, I just take the negative 5 and I square it. Remember, anytime you square something, your answer is always positive. So we're going to get a positive 25. Okay, so I'm kind of writing out in my head what I'm thinking, right, and how you would get these actual answers right here. Okay, but once you get good at it, hopefully you can just do these mentally in your heads. Okay, so let me do a few more. Let's say, for example, 4 minus 3x. So to get the first part of my answer, I'm squaring the 4, right? So I'm taking the 4, I'm squaring it. That gives me 16. To get the middle part of my answer, I multiply these two. That's negative 12x. And then I multiply it times 2. So then that gives me negative 24x. Okay? And to get the last part of my answer, I just square the negative 3x, which gives me a positive, right? Remember I told you, anytime you square something, your answer is going to be positive. So you get 9x squared. And that would be your answer. Okay? Let's try a few more. So how about, let's say, 6x plus 1 squared. So I'm going to just do this mentally. So 6x squared is 36x squared. To get the middle, I multiply these two. That's 6x times 2, so that will give me positive 12x. Right? Then the last part, 1 squared is just 1. Okay? Do another one. How about 8x minus 3 squared? So to get the first part of my answer, 8x, and I square it, right? So that's 64x squared. To get the middle part, 8x times negative 3, that's negative 24x, right? And then I need to multiply that times 2. So negative 24x times 2 is negative 48x. And to get to the last part of my answer, negative 3 squared is just positive 9. Okay? So once again, all I'm doing is to get this first part of my answer, I'm taking the 8x, I'm squaring it. To get the middle part, I multiply these two. That's a negative 24x. And then I need to multiply that by 2. And to get the last part of my answer, I'm just taking the negative 3 and I'm squaring it. Okay? So at the beginning, if you need to write this word right here down, that's perfectly fine until you get the hang of it. And once you get really good at it, then you could probably just go from the question, do it mentally, and then get to the answer. But at the beginning, if you need to write the word down, that's perfectly fine. Let's say 5x plus 4 squared. So that would give me 25x squared. Multiply these two, that's 20x times 2, so that would be 40x. Then I square the 4, that gives me 16. Okay. Try maybe 2 more. How about, let's say, 6 minus 2x squared. So 6 squared is 36. If I multiply these two, that's negative 12x times 2, that's negative 24x. Square the negative 2x, that'll become positive 4x squared. Okay, just always remember, anytime you square something, it should be positive. Okay. Do one last one. How about say 10x minus 3 squared. So the first term, right? 10x, I square it, that's 100x squared. To get the middle part of my answer, multiply these two, negative 30x times 2, negative 60x. To get the last part of my answer, negative 3 squared is positive 9. Okay, so that's the special pattern to square binomials.